Okay, it says we're live, and that's 6 seconds after the hour. And hopefully we've got correct audio. I'm going to check here, make sure we don't have the Donald Duck voice. Never know where that comes from, but sometimes we get it. This is a special broadcast at a special time. So that's how that works. I can't hear my audio here. What the heck is going on? Okay, it says we're live, and that's 6 seconds
all right.
after the hour. Perfect. Okay. So actually we were live on time, it looked like, there, according to the watch. I just wasn't talking. So that's how that works with a special broadcast. We got some folks in the house. Edgar's in the house. R. Wags is in the house. And he was in 10 minutes early. And Tom's in the house. Appreciate the later broadcast, 7 a.m. checking in. This is a special time for Tom. And he's an early bird, 7 a.m. And this is a special request broadcast for another subscriber. Asked for a broadcast this evening. With a later show, we may have new live chat group. There you go. Vegas is in the house. Carlos is in the house. And Carlos had said he may not be able to make some of the live streams, but we're good. It's always good to have Carlos when he can pop in. He's a busy guy. And let's see, the voice is fine, says Tom. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. That's right. And David Williams says hi. R. Wags is saying hi to everybody. And Hugo's in the house from Portland, Oregon, 4 p.m. California time. I need help with strap suggestions. Well, there you go. What's the best brand model for leather NATO straps? Unfortunately, I react to steel bracelets. Whoa, okay. Well, there you go. Maybe some folks will have some suggestions in the chat. I don't know if nylon works for you, but I've got a strap that was custom made by Gas Bones, which is kind of cool. They make some kind of cool stuff. You might want to check out their website. They're not cheap, but they're pretty cool. I think a little higher cool factor than a typical NATO strap in some ways. So check them out. Let's see here. 4 p.m. in beautiful Seattle. Okay. And Carlos is in Spain. Charlotte, North Carolina. That's a hub down there. A lot of people fly in and out of Charlotte. And peace from Dubai. All right. Well, there you go. I adjusted the exposure a little bit. I underexposed this by 2 stops. And it's looking good on my monitor. I looked overexposed. I was underexposed by 1 stop, and then I went it by 2 stops. And by the way, I cleaned the 231 stunner. See how that puppy shines when it's cleaned? And yes, I used a toothpaste and a toothbrush. That's how I did it. And it looks freaking gorgeous. Brings that shine right up. And the people say, oh, no, you can't do that. It's going to scratch. Use dish soap and use a microfiber cloth and all this. Looks fantastic. We're going to do Crazy Talk again. This is part 2 of Crazy Talk. You'd use a toothbrush and toothpaste to clean your wristwatch. Crazy Talk. Going to talk about 8mm thick Invictas. Yeah, there you go. I got a photograph of an 8mm thick Invicta today on my email. That was interesting. If you're going to go big, go really, really big. Let me see if I can find that. Let's see if I still have that email here in my inbox. I don't know if I do or don't. Yeah, here it is. Let me pull this up. This is funny. Jaden spotted this in the wild. It's one thing to see something, just on a watch site, but this is in the wild. See on that gentleman's wrist, the gentleman with the tattoo in the foreground? See that super thick Invicta he's sporting? Well, there you go. If he gets hit by a foul ball and all that, he might be able to use that to block the foul ball, to run interference with the foul ball. That's what that's for. And Jaden also sent me this picture of his Seamaster, and he says it's 12 mils thick, which is very interesting. Very, very interesting. That's a good looking watch. And you know, the other thing I like about this watch is it does not have the skeletonized hands. I'm just not a fan of the skeletonized hands on the Omegas. A lot of them have that. Even my Omega had it. My Seamaster, one, I think it was a Seamaster 150, the one that I had that I sold. Anyway, it had the skeletonized hands, and they're not as easy to read. It's simple as that. I mean, it's better to have the solid hands like that. That one looks like it'd be very legible in any circumstances. So 2 big thumbs up for that's a great all-arounder, a great heavy use all-around watch. Crazy talk today. That's what we got going on. Let's see. And I had a comment on the last Crazy Talk video a couple days ago from an insurance guy. He said leave the insurance advice to an insurance expert. In other words, a salesman. So one thing I do have to clarify, and I thought that people would be able to figure this out. And let's do a time check on the stunner, on the GMT stunner. I thought people could figure this out, but when I was talking about self-insuring the other day and not making the insurance companies rich, keeping your money for yourself and saving and investing it, this would only work for people that are relatively careful. Okay, you would not want to self-insure yourself if you have a car accident every 6 months. If you total cars every 2 years and it's your fault every time. You know, if you're habitually at the doctor's office, right? If you're habitually getting like major surgeries done and so forth. I mean, you don't want to be self-insuring yourself. See, insurance is good for people that are prone to problems, that every time they turn around, they've got a major issue in their life, right? And it's great for them because what happens is all the careful people, they end up paying for the guy that's careless, right? So if you're the guy that's careless, you're doing good. You're getting more than your money's worth on the insurance that you're buying. Now, of course, some insurance companies will drop you after several claims or whatever, but it depends, right? But bottom line is you can come out ahead if you are this kind of person that just always has catastrophes all the time in their life, right? You want to have heavy up on insurance. You want to spend like a lot of money on insurance if you're that person. Now, if you're careful, if you buy a house that's well built, for example, and you take good care of it and so forth, and you don't light bonfires in your living room, then you can self-insure your house and you can save a lot of freaking money, which I have done, right? I've saved a ton of money over the last 20 years not having insurance on my house. I don't have insurance on any of my houses now. I've canceled it all. And so, but yeah, if you're a person that things happen to all the time, your car's constantly broken into and expensive stuff is stolen out of it, you know, if you're this person, then yeah, you better load up on insurance. But all I was saying is if you're not that person, if you're a careful person, generally speaking, the insurance companies come out ahead. That's the whole point, is that's why they're in business, is to come out ahead. Now, the person whose life is always a disaster area, they might come out ahead if they buy insurance. They're the ones. Okay, so just so I clarified that, let's see. Let's see. Tom, how long have you had your SBGN? Are you liking it overall? Okay, we got a conversation going on there. So Carlos is having a party, still recovering from yesterday's party. Party time. Great looking Seamaster. Yes, it was a great looking Seamaster. Let's see here. Glad it works for you. Enjoying mine in the Nevada desert. My girlfriend complains about the skeleton hands on her Bond Seamaster, but accepts it because it's just a fashion accessory. Well, there you go. Only a couple of weeks. I've had my eye on for 8 months since it was announced. Love it. It's perfect for... Okay, there you go. A little conversation going on there. That's good in the chat. If anyone's interested in match colors, let's say AirPod case, iWatch strap, iPhone case. Nomad makes great kit. Okay. Let's see here. I've got box and papers on the Seamaster. It seems like they only made the solid hands and solid gold bezel for a short time. Cool. We're going to talk about bezels. We're going to talk about that too. Interestingly enough, we're going to talk about, let's pull up, here we go. We're going to talk about Yacht-Masters again, because the dog man, Mark Goldberg, he had a video out about buying watches on credit, and he specifically talked about a Yacht-Master, and he gave some information that was regarding the Yacht-Master that was, he was half right. So I want to clarify, you know, where he was half right and half wrong on the Yacht-Master comment that he made. I don't know if you guys saw his video or not. And then on the financial advice, the advice regarding credit cards and all that, he was 100% wrong there. So we're going to go through that situation. Again, crazy talk here. Crazy talk, right? We're going to go through why that advice was really bad advice and why broke people should not be giving advice on money, on how to manage money. We'll talk about that here in a minute or two. This is all crazy talk hour today. So don't buy car insurance and health insurance if I'm careful. I would not be carrying car insurance if it wasn't required. It's required in the state of Maryland, so I have no choice. But that's correct. I'm a very careful driver. I don't get in car accidents that are my fault. And now I would probably carry some kind of no fault or something to cover me if some idiot hit me that didn't have insurance and it was their fault. I would probably carry something like that if I could get it. But here in in the U.S., most states require it, so it's a moot point. So you kind of have to carry insurance. But I don't carry full coverage insurance. I haven't for many, many years because, again, I'm careful. And so I don't need to pay the insurance company to fix my car when I wreck it because it's my fault, because I don't do that. So there's that. And I even drive slow when I'm driving down the roads here that are known to have deers, there's no such thing as deer, jump out in front of cars and people run into them and they like total their cars and stuff. I drive slow through those areas. So I see the deer on the side of the road, and then I see that the deer is jumping into the road, and guess what? I stop and I let him go. And sometimes people get mad at me when they're behind me, right? Because they want to go flying into the deer. So I wave them on, right? And I let them drive in and crash into the deer and bust their windshield all to pieces and stuff. So so that's how all that works. It's called being careful, folks. You know? Don't be that guy that things happen to all the time. Let's see. Craig, I've done some self-insuring in the past few years. So far, so good. Tens of thousands of dollars there. That's what I'm telling you. It can add up. It's real money, folks. Let's see here. Watch Doctor, car insurance is required in Indiana. Yeah, I think most states it's required. I live on an island where cars aren't allowed, only golf carts. There you go. I wonder if they require golf cart insurance. The way some people drive those golf carts, they probably should have it. They're half drunk all the time. And by the way, that's the other thing. See, I don't drink. I don't smoke. Right? I'm just a real, old-fashioned conservative guy when it comes to all this kind of stuff. I guess that's what you could say. My girlfriend got dropped for too many accidents. She was never seemed at fault, but the insurance company said she's what they call in the business an accident magnet. Well, she's probably real good looking, and the drivers were like looking at her instead of looking at the road, and they like ran into your girlfriend. So that's probably how that works. They met her by accident. Oh boy, that's too bad. Okay, so most AARP members are above 55 years, okay? RWAG's car insurance is required in Florida as well. I believe health insurance is federally required when you do taxes, right? I think they removed that requirement, didn't they, that you have to have it? Now, I do have health insurance, but I have catastrophic with a very, very high deductible. Like, I don't know if it was as high as I could get, like $10,000 or something. It's a real high deductible, but I still pay through the nose for it because I get no subsidies or anything. I'm paying for myself and about 5 or 6 other guys. I'm paying for all their insurance. That's how that works. Let's see here. So they can get it for free, right? Let's see. I was wondering if you were going to hammer Mark today on his credit advice. Yeah, we're going to get to Mark in a minute here. Crazy talk today. There's some crazy talk on these interwebs. Please check out the Seiko SBTR013. Okay, SBTR013. Okay, let's see here. I guess this is the watch you're talking about. Okay. It looks good. I mean, I'm not a big fan of a cluttered dial, a dial with the chronograph and all that. And unless you need that functionality, if you need that functionality, I mean, it looks okay to me. I just don't know really anything about the watch. And I've heard that the more affordable Seikos have some quality control issues. So I'd be sure to buy it from somebody that has a really good return policy. I would try to buy it local if you can, and so you can really see, touch, and feel and examine it and have a good return policy. In my case, I only have health care insurance for catastrophic events in the family. There you go, Carlos in the house. Nice teal shirt, Craig. Yeah, this was one I wore the other day. Very comfortable. This one's made in the USA, believe it or not. It's an oldie but a goodie. Let's see. By the way, the picture of the Invicta couldn't capture how ridiculous it was in person. I can imagine. I believe that is so. Watch doctor with Obamacare requirements. Chip would know more about that since he is self-employed. Yeah, well, here's the deal. When you buy insurance, if you're over a certain income, you've got to pay the whole ticket. And then if you're much lower income, you can get credits and all kinds of things. You know, you get a lot of price breaks on whatever insurance you buy. And those of us that are paying full ticket, we're basically paying for yours as well. We're subsidizing you is the way that works. Respect the deer. Yeah, hell yeah. I've seen them go through a windshield and go all the way back and go back through the back windshield and end up on the trunk lid. I mean, they can do some real damage if you hit them going fast enough. So insurance is preying on the fear/risks of being in an accident. The flip side of things is things do go wrong and you're not covered. Yeah, for some people, things go wrong a lot. And those people should carry a lot of insurance. That's right. If you're one of these people that just things happen to you all the time, definitely make sure that insurance premium is paid on time. Craig drives like grandma. Absolutely, yeah. I'm always watching in the rearview mirror for somebody to rear end me, right? Because they're freaking crazy, man. Crazy time. Crazy talk here today. Crazy times and crazy talk. Tom, do you live in... Now, I move along on the highway. I get out there and I move along, but I do watch out for the crazies. I watch out for them. I really do. Let's see. This year, the individual mandate IRSA will not be enforced. There you go. David coming in the house with some advice, some updates. Hi, Craig. I think IWC bracelets on their pilot's watches deserve some credit. They are entirely brushed. They are in the style of traditional pilot's bracelet, looks similar to a Jubilee bracelet. Well, that's all good. Absolutely, that's good news. All right, so here, before we get out of control here with the comments, let's get back to Mark's video on the credit advice. First of all, let me give you a few stats. He had a guy comment him that wants to buy a Yacht-Master on credit. Okay, Yacht-Master on credit. All right, I think that watch, I think with the blue dial, I'm pretty sure that's the one he asked about, okay? So first of all, Mark said that watch does not have a solid platinum bezel, that it's just like a platinum coating on top of something else or whatever, right? Well, I can tell you that the newer 6-digit ones, like this one right here, and like the one that he was talking about buying, that's absolutely solid platinum bezel on there. I believe that to be true. I believe that to be true. Now, the older ones, some of the older ones, I'm not so sure about. But maybe some folks can chime in the chat as far as what details they might know on that. But I think this one that the guy was talking about, that's solid. That's a solid platinum bezel, including the knurled part that you grab and twist to turn it around and all. That's all platinum, folks. I believe that to be true. Let's see here. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so then he's talking about, he generally said that people shouldn't use credit card to buy a watch, but then he gave some exceptions to people that should use the 0% interest. You know, this jeweler gives them 0% interest for a year, right? So I'm going to go ahead and buy the watch on 0% interest and pay it off within a year, and so I'm good to go, right? And then he also gave the example of if it's a watch that you normally can't get, like a Daytona or something. Oh, yeah, absolutely put that on your credit card. You get a chance to buy a Daytona, buy it, put it on your credit card. I think it's advice like this that keeps so many people in these United States broke. Okay, advice like this. People that absolutely cannot afford a luxury watch, they don't have the money to buy the freaking luxury watch, and they're using some kind of justification to borrow money and to buy it on credit. So let me give you a few stats, just a few quick stats. Okay, the average family income in these United States is $60,000. Average family income per year. Okay, the average of people that carry a debt on their credit cards. I'm not talking about people like me that have a credit card that have don't carry any balance on it. But of the people that carry a balance on their credit cards, the average is $16,000 of debt that they have on their credit card. That's the average. Automotive loans, the average debt on automotive loans in the U.S., this is the average now, is $30,000. Okay? The average school loans, debts for education, is $50,000 in debt. The average home debt is $182,000. Okay? People are heavily freaking in debt. That's the message here. They're heavily freaking in debt. And I'll tell you why they're heavily freaking in debt is because the people selling things use every trick in the book to get these people to justify buying it on credit. 0% interest, you know, you can get a deal today that you couldn't get tomorrow, et cetera, et cetera. So all the tricks in the book, they know them all, and they're experts. And here's the thing, when you buy something on credit, when you just sign your name, there's no pain associated with that. It's no big deal. You just signed your name. You didn't give them a big stack of $100 bills. When you give them cash for something, there's pain. The pain centers in your brain are activated, right? McDonald's found out when they first started taking credit cards, and Dave Ramsey talks about this a lot, when they started taking credit cards, their average sale went up tremendously, something like 40%. I mean, it was insane how much their average sale went up. Because when somebody's in line there and they're buying stuff at McDonald's and they're using their credit card, they're like, hey, I'll get an apple pie with that. Oh, yeah, give me the large fries. And, hey, let's buy something for the guy behind me here. Hey, do you want an apple pie? Right? He didn't care. He's not spending any money. He's just swiping his credit card. So, and again, as Dave, I want to give credit where credit's due. When you're playing footsie with these banks and these credit card companies and so forth, okay, you're playing footsie with experts here. They know what the hell they're doing. They are getting people heavily in freaking debt. All right. And I don't, and if you do buy that Daytona for list, if you immediately sell it and take a nice profit on that watch, again, not as easy to do as a lot of people think, but let's say you can sell it for like a $5,000 profit, right away, you sell it and you get your money. Okay, fine, you did great, right? But that's not what most people do. Most people will keep the watch until the bottom falls out of the freaking market, and then they're stuck with 6 or 8 watches. This guy already had like 4 high-end watches already, the guy that contacted Mark and wanted to buy this Yacht-Master, right? He already had a bunch of watches, right? And this is just another one, right? And he wants to buy the freaking thing on credit, okay? What Mark should have said was, sell all the other damn watches and buy yourself the Yacht-Master and wear it. It's 11.7 mils thick. It does have a solid platinum bezel. And wear the damn thing. Get rid of the other freaking watches, some of which he might even be able to get a decent price for because they're popular models, right? But that's not the advice that was given. The advice was, go ahead and get the additional watch. Crazy talk, man. Crazy talk tonight. See, the people that are in the steel Rolex camp, they're going to be saying, I'm crazy, right, for saying this, right? The people that are financially responsible are going to be saying that Mark gave the crazy talk. So it all depends on how you look at it as to who's talking crazy. But somebody's talking crazy today. Somebody's talking crazy. Okay, so let's go on here. I have a lot of old-fashioned, conservative, close friends that drink on the parties. How's the Brigade Marine doing? I love that watch. Okay, got a little conversation going on here. All links can be removed without a special tool, and the clasp is incredibly discreet, and it has a button that allows for millimetric adjustments to the bracelet length. Okay, that sounds like something cool. The price looks good on that watch. I'm not sure what they're talking about. They're having a nice little conversation in here. This is good. Let's see. RWAGs to Cheetown, California. Golf carts aren't allowed to be driven by the general public on Mackinac Island. Bicycles and horses only. Craig, should I sell my Bitcoin and invest in Grand Seiko? Keep stacking Satoshis. That's the latest thing now, they call it. Stacking Satoshis. Stacking sats. Sats for short. That's what we're doing. Hey, Craig, which is better to max your credit cards out on, Bitcoin or Steel Sport Rolexes? That's a good question. Craig, do you ever get bored of watches? Seem to hear a simple Steel Datejust 41 more than my Steel Sport Stunner Pros. Craig, do you ever get bored of watches? I seem to wear a simple Steel Datejust 41 more than my Steel Sport. Well, my gosh, the Datejust is a great watch. The 41's a little big for me, but if it looks good on your wrist, yeah, I would wear that. And the only reason I'm wearing a diver's watch right now is because it's so readable, so legible. These big hands and everything for my weak eyes. So that's the main reason why I'm wearing this watch, is the legibility is amazing. And because it's titanium and so lightweight, it's comfortable for a big watch. It's very comfortable. So I've got special needs. Special needs when it comes to watches. So there's that. Which watch have you taken on your travels? Thomas wants to know. They say with affordable Seikos that if the chapter ring, bezel, or hour marks are misaligned, then you know you have a genuine watch. I own a Volvo. I'm done owning luxury European cars. I think my next car is going to be a Toyota Corolla or a Toyota Prius that's 10 years old. Good move. Get a one-owner garage-kept car in really great shape. Make sure it's never been hit. Examine it. Examine all the panels. Make sure the serial number sticker is still on all the panels, so none of them have been replaced. And you're good to go. You're good to go on a 10-year-old Toyota. I highly recommend doing that garage kept, one owner, low mileage car. Let's see. Those deers sound as though a roo. Yeah, sort of like a kangaroo. Absolutely. Kamikaze deer. Yeah, they can kill a motorcyclist. Absolutely, they can. Ride low and slow. When I had my motorcycles, we called it riding low and slow. And I was always looking in the rearview mirror to make sure somebody wasn't going to rear end me. I wasn't in a hurry. I was out joyriding. Let's see here. I have the Date 840. And let me know if you want to see a picture of my Harley. You want to see a picture of the Harley I had? Let me know in the chat. I'll bring it up. I'll bring up a picture of at least one of the Harleys. I know I got a picture in here somewhere. And I could even show you the BMW. Let's see here. The Date 840 and Explorer 39. Eventually I have the 5196. I purchased it recently and have not gone back to Panama yet. Who are the bigger boneheads to you? Sports cars drivers or lifted pickup drivers? Oh, it can be anybody. You got to watch out for all of them, really. Mark was right in his statement that he was against using credit cards. Mark is gaining a lot of horological views in his last few videos. Yeah, but he gave some exceptions to where you should use credit cards, and that's where I think he was all freaking wet. And he also talked about how you got to worry about your credit score, right? If somebody does an inquiry on your credit, and it might mess up your credit score. I mean, first of all, the only reason you need a good credit score is if you're borrowing freaking money. All right? If you don't borrow money, you don't really need a good credit score. Now, there are people that say that if you get checked out for something or whatever, they might want to check your credit score. Well, I will tell you, okay, I have a great credit score. Matter of fact, I pulled it today just so that I wouldn't be lying. Don't like to lie on this channel. So I pulled it today. American Express lets you pull it for free. Okay? And that's my credit score as of today. Okay, 829. And I never borrow money, right? But I do have a credit score because I do have an American Express card. I do have a Visa card, and I do use them. And I actually spend quite a bit on them. But I always keep a credit balance on them. Not only do I pay them on time, but I pay them early. When I check my credit cards, I typically have a credit balance. Let me see if I can get into my Amex account here on this computer. I don't know if it let me log in or not. Oh, come on. I hate LastPass. It works half the time, and half the time it doesn't. What freaking good is it? Let's see if this will get me in this time. Well, we'll see. I don't know if it's going to get me in or not. What a freaking mess. But anyway, you can still maintain a good credit credit rating without borrowing money. But even let's say you don't. Let's say you have no credit rating, no credit score, because you have no credit cards, no nothing, right? So your credit rating is 0, right? As Dave Ramsey says, you can still buy a house, you can still get a loan for a house, you can still, you can still do things. You can still have a debit card on your bank account, So there's things you can still do. But the key is, if you are worried about your credit rating, that tells me that you're borrowing too much freaking money. That's what that tells me. So, let's see. Did I get in? Okay. All right. So I got in. Okay. So here you go. Here's my, that's my American Express account. Notice my balance is negative $319, right? So I've overpaid, right? That's the deal. That's the deal. All my credit cards, I've got 2 or 3 of them, right? They all have a freaking credit balance on them. Because that's how we operate around here. So no, Mark was wrong on most counts. And that's why he's broke, okay? I mean, here's the thing. Dave Ramsey says this all the time. Don't get financial advice from people that are broke, right? He's already said on one of his channels that he doesn't know if he needed to put a roof on his house, he's not sure where the money would come from, right? That tells me you're not in very good financial shape. So don't take advice from people who are broke on financial matters. That's all I'm saying. Buying stuff that you can't afford to impress people you hate, that's called competitive consumerism. Instagram is only making it worse. It's amazing to me. It is mind-boggling to me that people, and some of these people are really got mental problems as a result of it. I mean, they're deeply depressed. They've got all kinds of issues, and because it's like a drug, you buy one of these watches and you think it's going to solve your problems, and it turns out it doesn't, and then you buy another one because maybe that'll work, right? And you just get buried in these freaking watches. And some of these people, I mean, have 8 or 10 watches, expensive high-end watches. And they live in a freaking dump. And I don't know. I don't understand it. Maybe somebody can let me know what the hell's going on here. But I don't want to contribute to it. I would feel very bad if I was giving advice like Mark gives and I was contributing to people's addiction. I mean, it's freaking insane. I want people to buy high quality stuff. I want people to wear and use high quality stuff. I like high quality stuff, but I don't want them to get in financial trouble doing it. And maybe that's me. Maybe I'm just old fashioned, but that's the crazy talk here. This is crazy talk tonight. And I warned people in advance that this was crazy talk. So that's what we're getting right now. We're getting crazy talk. Let's see. Craig, with those debt numbers you just read are frightening. We are in a world of shit. Excuse my French. People must exercise discipline. Yeah, right. I don't think they're doing that. Let's see. Cheat down. That's why I'm not on Instagram. I purchased it coinciding with my travels to Spain, some holidays, and some work here too. Well, there you go. Ivy League school loans cost a kidney. Due to a limited number allowed here, golf carts cost well over $200,000 each. Woo! There you go. What did I see earlier today that was just insanely expensive? And one of those side-by-side things. You know those off-road things that they call them a side-by-side? They're not even street legal, you understand. Two people can sit in them. They've got like 180 horsepower this one had. That Channel Light Bright, they're really good. It's a couple and the real good-looking blonde, and they go around and they use their Jeep off-road all over the place. It's a cool channel. Anyway, they were testing out this side-by-side, $28,000, I think. Yeah, I think it was 28 grand for this off-road vehicle, this side-by-side four-wheel drive thing, like a buggy type thing. $28,000. I'm like, oh my God, I'm out of touch. I'm really out of touch. Let's see. Playing financial games with banks is like trying to outdance Fred Astaire. You're just going to make a fool out of yourself. That's well said. Like I say, playing footsie with the banks and the credit card companies. Yeah, that's going to work out good. Like Dave Ramsey says, they're freaking snakes. You're dealing with snakes. Mark should have said, save $50,000 cash and then buy a new Rolex. Actually, they should invest it in a Roth IRA, and they should get a nest egg and build some wealth and then buy a freaking Rolex. That's what they should do. Oh well. Craig, do you believe in the 50-30-20 rule? 50% for household expenses, 30% for investments, Vanguard mutual funds, 20% for personal fun and entertainment, or do you have a different suggestion? Dave Ramsey says 15% into investments once your all your debts are paid except for your house, and then pay your house off as quick as you can, and all the while putting 15% in investments. I think that that's a pretty good number, pretty good rule. Obviously, if you can do more, that's better, right? It depends on how much wealth you want to build, right? But I think if people just did what he suggests, they'd be way ahead of the game, because he's telling them to take no debt out, except for a house 15-year loan, right? 15-year loan on a house he'll tolerate. But other than that, no debt. I don't even want a house note. I mean, my first house, I saved up and paid cash. And then from there, would sell one house and move into another house and just step up, and always with cash. I don't believe in borrowing money for any freaking thing. People say, "Oh, you're not getting the write-off on the taxes." That's fine. That's fine. I'm just investing more money. I just have more money. I don't have write-offs. I just have more money. That's how that works. When you don't have a house payment, right, you've got more money to invest and do other things with. Now, I've probably invested more money in my own business than I should. I'm heavy in my own business. And right now, I'm much heavier in Bitcoin than I should be, just because it's gone up so much. In other words, the percentage of my net worth that I have in Bitcoin is pretty high right now. But that's just because Bitcoin is so high. My gosh, it's almost $10,000. It's insane. But it could go back down, right? And then that'll adjust that percentage, right? But I mean, I'm not going to sell any. So I guess it's going to remain a high percentage of a higher percentage than it should be of my net worth. But I like to have a certain percentage in real estate, certain percentage in other equity investments. My session's about to expire. Okay, I don't care about that. So yeah, I like to spread it around. I'm a little heavier in real estate than equities. I just like real estate. But yeah, spread it around a little bit, and don't have any debt, and I think life is good. That's what I say. Let's see. Never, ever, ever, ever buy on credit, ever. ID guy, there you go. How confident are you of the 21 million supposed limit on the availability of Bitcoin? I think that it would be virtually impossible to gain consensus to increase that. I just don't think it's going to happen. It's pretty hard set, and it would be very, very difficult the way everything is set up to gain consensus on increasing that, because the problem is most of the people involved, miners, everybody that's involved, they all have a vested interest, literally, in keeping it at 21 million. There's almost nobody that sees a benefit in increasing the supply, therefore diluting the Bitcoin that we have now, right? I think it would get very, very little support. And those that say that once they're all mined, in like 100 years from now or whenever that is, once all 21 million have been produced, they say, well, there won't be enough incentive for the miners to keep mining, because the fees on processing the transactions, that's not going to be enough. Well, why wouldn't it be enough? If Bitcoin is adopted all over the world and there are transactions all the time, in other words, a very high volume of transactions, those fees will add up, and the fees can be adjusted as needed to make it worthwhile for the miners to continue to secure the network. So I don't see any legitimate concern that the 21 million will ever be breached, will be changed or anything like that. I just don't see that as a problem. I see other attack vectors on Bitcoin. I see other potential problems, but the 21 million would be way down on that list of potential pitfalls and potential roadblocks for Bitcoin. There's a bunch of other ones that I would be more concerned about. Let's see here. I've bought Rolex on interest-free credit card before. Yeah, not a good move. Not a good move. I don't think that's a good move. Okay. Because again, when you're buying something on credit, there's no pain. You don't realize that you're spending money, right? And that's the problem. They want to ease the friction of you giving up your money, the money going out of your pocket and going into their pocket. They want that to be as friction-free as possible. And so they do all these incentives, cashback credit cards, 0% financing. All these things are engineered to get the money out of your pocket and into their pocket. You want the money in your pocket. That's the name of the game. That's how you win the game, not with it in their pocket. So let's see here. Your FICO score is more important. Well, my FICO score, I'm sure, is very high. I haven't checked it for a while, but I'm sure it's very good. But it doesn't matter to me because I don't borrow money anyway, so that's how that works. Listening to the stream as I hit the road. San Diego traffic sucks. Uh-oh. A lot of these watch guys do not own property. Yeah, I guess. Not old-fashioned at all. Okay. Watch addiction is real, and some people can't control themselves. Tom in the house. It would appear that would be the case. Archie has almost 100K in watches, and it seems like not much else. By the way, I think he was trolling you in a video yesterday. The headline was, Rolex or Bitcoin. Oh, really? That's cool. He copied me. That's okay. That's flattering. That's sincerest form of flattery, right? Is copying. Imitation. This is the sincerest form of flattery. You should see the cost of cars in Singapore. People get mortgages on them. Oh, I'm sure. What's crazy is that I used to justify my watch purchases saying that it was for my channel, but now writing about them every day has weaned me off the habit of wanting them all. Food for thought. Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. If you need some props for your channel, like Archie, he uses them as props in his shows and all that. I mean, you can somewhat justify that if you're doing this full time, and if you've got significant revenue coming in on your channel, then there's some justification for that. But I mean, other people that are just buying them because they can show them off in the forums and stuff and on Instagram and all, and they're not monetizing anything. I mean, there's really no justification in that case. So Archie, I can see. You could make a business argument for what he's doing, because he has the live streams where he's begging for money and all that, and he's got, he's monetizing videos, and he's probably making a couple grand a month from YouTube, not counting the super chats, and maybe another couple grand on that. He's probably making $4 or $5 grand a month, I'd guess. On his gig. But, I hope he's setting some money aside in some other investments. I don't know if they have something like a Roth IRA down in Australia, but I hope he's doing some other things as well and not just putting all his money in watches. I think that would be a good move to diversify a little bit. Let's see, as long as you protect and plan your finances for the future, credit isn't a huge deal. Yeah, you shouldn't need any credit. If you're not borrowing money, you don't need credit. Duh, right? If you're paying cash, you don't need credit. SEP IRAs are good as well. Night contribution limits, okay? Buying a GS9F has cured me from needing other watches for the foreseeable future. Why buy something less accurate and robust? Own Rolex too. Well, there you go, Tom. That's right. You've got a beast of a watch there. Thank you for the straight talk. Most people in our country cannot handle money talk because it's too boring for some, as it reflects reality of life, which is mostly sad. There you go. If one wants to buy multiple Rolex watches, I believe at every 1 million that you reach in your retirement savings, one should buy a Rolex. There you go. That's a good move. Absolutely. And I have to admit, when I bought my first Date, I wasn't a millionaire, right? I didn't have $1 million net worth when I bought my first Date. I was making really good money, and I think it helped me make money. I used it more as a tool because I was selling cars and high-end cars for a while, Porsches and other high-end vehicles. And we dressed real nice, and I wore the Date, and it was, it kind of projected confidence, and it made me feel good, and it made me more productive. And so I was really using that watch as a tool, just like Archie is using some of his watches as tools on his channel. I mean, it was sort of like that. But I bought it used, and I paid cash for it, and I got a pretty good buy on it. And then when I sold it, I did make a little bit of money on it, and I kept stepping up in watches. So I didn't go crazy about it. And I didn't have 5 of them. I had 2. I had the gold Rolex, and I always had a steel sport model, like usually a GMT. But I didn't go crazy about it. And that's how that worked. Let's see, got a happen last night. Okay. Catch y'all next time. Thanks, Ray. Thank you, David. Thank you for tuning in. Let's see. Could I join the course? I'm so keen to visit Nevada. Take care. Okay. The used car salesman look. Yeah. And I was generally, back then, it was mainly new cars, but we had some used cars too. But yeah. Let me reload this. Okay. Just make sure I'm not missing any comments here. So let me know, put some comments in the chat, and let me know if there is, are there any additional questions. I think I might have the exposure a little bit low on this camera, but it's close to where it should be. And then we're going to wrap this puppy up. Let's see, answering your question about Tudor. Many can't shake the identity of what the watch's image was, a watch in Rolex's shadow, but the watches have seen a renaissance recently. Well, that's just because a lot of the people, in the watch community are all about Tudor. I don't see any reason to buy a Tudor. If I want to buy something that's more affordable, I would just buy a used Grand Seiko in the same price range. You're going to get a much better watch. I see no justification, no need to buy a Tudor. If I can spend a little more, I would just buy the Rolex. If I need to save money, I would buy either a high-end Seiko or a Grand Seiko, and just skip the whole Tudor thing. So that's the deal on that. I mean, you can even buy a DATEJUST, an older DATEJUST, all steel with the engine turned bezel. You can buy those for the low 2s. I saw one in pretty good shape for $2,200 at Little Treasure Jewelers. At a jeweler. So from a private party, you should be able to buy a decent DATEJUST in the low to mid 2s, a 36 mil DATEJUST, and you could just wear that and skip the whole Tudor thing. I would buy a Tudor if they brought back the good-looking Submariner for heavy use. You talking about the one with the Mercedes hands on it? Yeah, see, that's the other thing. A lot of the newer Tudors with those funky hands, no, I wouldn't go there. That's a no-fly zone for me. Pass on the Tudors. Yeah. All right, anybody else have any questions before I wrap this puppy up? Craig, I think you've solved most of the world's problem in this broadcast. Hope you've had your dinner already. Yes, I did already have dinner. And the reason I did this broadcast later is I did have a viewer ask me to do a later broadcast, and then I had another viewer that asked me to do a broadcast, and I wasn't going to do any broadcast, but then I figured, okay, I'll go ahead and solve both those problems by doing a later broadcast today. So that's what I did. I agree, Tudor is making a renaissance. Well, yeah, I mean, the Tudors are available. You don't have to wait forever for them, and they're less expensive than the Rolexes. That's why people are buying them, but it just shows me they don't have any imagination. They can't figure out what else to buy. There's a lot of better options. I'd rather buy an Omega. There are a lot of Omegas I would buy. I'd buy this Omega here that we just saw earlier. Let me pull it back up. Let's see, where is it? I think it was here. Yeah. I would buy this puppy right here before I would buy an Omega. I mean, that is an Omega. Before I would buy a Tudor. I'd buy that. The same one in steel, in all steel. That's beautiful. I'd 10 times have that over a freaking Tudor. Are you kidding me? A freaking Tudor? No, that's a no-fly zone. Not in this lifetime. Let's see here. I'm going to wrap this up. So Tudor is a poor man's Rolex. I think Tudor is a watch for people that don't have very much imagination. I think that's what that is. GS needs better legibility on the dress watches. I agree with that. Upcoming video of mine, hint, hint. There you go. Are you going to stick with earlier or later broadcast time, Tom? I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I can't promise when I'm going to be broadcasting because I just do it when I can. But 5 o'clock usually is better for me just because it's the end of the typical business day and the phone's not ringing at that point, and it's before dinner. So that is a sweet spot if I can do it. But I might try to do some later broadcasts too, for those that want later broadcasts. So I might mix it up. I would really love for Steve to do more broadcasts and pick up a little bit of the workload here. But he's hemming and hawing and blah, 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 too busy selling watches. Because of the videos, he's too busy selling watches and he doesn't want to do videos. You know, how ironic is that? So what can you do? Okay. Those sword hands melt into the GMT hand. Yeah, I agree. I think that they would be much better off coming out with some thicker hands. Yeah, absolutely. That's why I love this watch. Look how legible this watch is, even from like 4 feet away. Look at that. I mean, the hands are super, super legible. All right, I'm going to read one more comment. We're going to wrap this up. When arrived in Canada in 1966, my father got a credit card and bought a pair of shoes. He was billed for 8 pairs of shoes and canceled the card. He's never had a credit card for the rest of his life. There you go. That merchant saved him a lot of money by doing that to him. Well played. All right, I'm going to wrap this puppy up. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It's been fun, as usual.